Rightio, it's a special edition of the Underseason podcast. It's a bit of a butchery special, and I've got the one and only Shannon Walker in the studio.
Fantastic to be here, taking the seat off Great Si. But yeah, let's talk about butchery and where it is today and what's happening.
So if you're into butchery or you're interested in butchery, you've got a career in butchery, this is the episode for you to watch. I'm really excited, so let's get into it. So for those at home that don't know, Shannon, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I fell into butchery as a 16-year-old, straight out of school. I wasn't very good at school and just learnt and loved the trade from day one. I had some great mentors as a young fella in the shop. It was a lot of hard work. Back then, butchery was a lot different than it is today. We were breaking multiple carcasses and it was full on.
Is it true that you held the world record for the sausage linking?
Unofficial.
Unofficial.
So we haven't had an official world record. I did get beaten in Toowoomba by young Lockie Walters. Prepared to take him on again next meat stock. But,
so for those that don't know, what is sausage linking?
So you fill the sausage out into its casing and then we link them up into individual sausages, as we can see here.
And how many can you do? How quick?
I normally do about 45 in about the 29-second mark.
Okay, if you can do more than that many in that amount of time, you should send a video in for us to put on the podcast.
I'm sure there's plenty out there that can do better.
Okay, but there hasn't been an official world record yet, but you're claiming it until there is.
Correct. There is actually an official one, which I might challenge one day.
Okay, all right. Okay, let's get into the episode. So this is usually how they start. Now, we're going to get into a lot more of the butchery stuff later. So Fuck Up of the Week is kind of a tradition here in the studio. We've made these ones a little bit butchery related, so let's jump into it. What do you make of this one?
Yeah, they've been well used, these knives. And probably passed down from a great-grandfather, I'd say.
Yeah. I did like one of the comments that said they're almost knitting needles now.
They look like knitting needles, actually.
So that's a butcher that's in love with his knives. He's obviously very comfortable with them, not prepared to let him go just yet.
Yeah, I've still got my first knife. It's not quite that bad, but you can tell the difference compared to a new one for sure.
So as a butcher, these things become sentimental, or?
A little bit. And you get a favourite one that you feel right with.
Okay. All right, let's move on. This is not barbecue related. This one's a bit of a personal related one. I'm going to turn the sound up.
We have no case on. It's got 156 yards. It's got to clear the bunker. It's got to clear the water. A lot of people watching in the clubhouse. And I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, it's cleared his shoe. It's gone over the top of his shoe. He's nailed it.
So firstly, I want to apologise to Mo, a good friend of mine. He's a barbecue guru, but he was over here and I looked after him a bit. We took him out hunting, had some great experiences with him, and he said he was a really good golfer.
Good barbecuer, maybe not so much golfer.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. You sent me this. What's that about? Tell me about it.
So this is a breed of cattle called the Belgian Blue. So there's no steroids involved. It's all a breeding program that they do. It really defines the muscles in the animal.
I call bullshit on no steroids.
It is a bull, as you can see.
Yeah, but they've got to be giving it something to look like that, or it's going to the gym.
There's no steroids at all.
What's it like to eat?
Apparently, it's not too bad. It's not as tender, and obviously there's not very much intramuscular fat because it's all muscle.
Right, okay. I thought it was AI. It's not AI.
No AI.
Okay. All right, the next one.
6.2 million.
That's right.
That's not how many views.
So this is not a fuck up. This is an artist that has somehow managed to convince someone to part with $6.2 million for this artwork.
Yes, there's special instructions on how the tape should be placed, what angle it should be at. And
when they buy it and take it home.
And what size banana, because obviously you replace the banana, it's not going to last forever.
Okay, but the reason why we're showing this one is because of this.
So a good mate of mine in Italy, Giovanni, has put his own thing on it, and I think he might have got $6.2 for this one.
I like his use of the gaffer tape instead, though.
Yeah, but it's not. You can tell it's not done properly, but a great attempt.
Yeah, but it would last longer than the banana.
Oh, for sure, sure.
Right.
And probably tastes a lot better too.
Okay, so we're going to put you right in the hot seat here, straight into the middle of the show. Fun and games is over. This is the serious part. Now, you've been to Dubai, London, Australia, New Zealand, Brazil, Germany. You've travelled all over the world. You've been to butcher shops all over the world. And I've asked you to pick a top 5. That's not easy.
It was very difficult. Some shops in here that I haven't been to, most of them I have, but the ones that are in here that I haven't been to, I'm coming.
But this is your whole career in butchery and you'd pick these as the top 5?
Yep, in no order.
Okay. What's this first one?
Always mentioned in the top butchers of the world is Victor Churchill. So they've got a store in Sydney, which has been a butcher shop for over 100 years, and they've recently opened one up in Melbourne. I think they've got a one hat for their little bar too. So there's a bar where you can eat all these amazing steaks that this company has. For the area that it's in, it's just standout service. The butchers don't serve the customers. They got servers. As you can see there, the displays are beautiful. A good mate of mine, Darren O'Rourke, was in there for a long time. George Donnelly came over from the UK and was a head butcher there for a period. And it's just, every time you walk in there, it's just a wow factor. You pull that handle, which is made out of golden sausages, and get in there, and it's pretty cool.
So Anthony Bourdain called this the most beautiful butcher shop in the world, and if anyone knows, he'd know.
100%.
This is the one in Melbourne you were talking about.
Yeah, it's just the final touches and the marbles and the glass and the butcher's blocks.
So we're lucky enough to have this butcher shop here in Australia, and I think most people would agree it is the number one butcher shop in the world.
Oh, it is, and butchers travel to come and see that.
Well, these are in no particular order, but I thought we should point that out. This is definitely a highlight out of everybody. Next.
Okay, that's dry-aged beef. So this is DeBetti. So I've got a DeBetti hat on today. They've got 8 shipping containers outside full with this dry-aged beef. The display is good, but it's not fantastic. But the whole concept of the shop is this beautiful butchery, and then you walk down a little laneway and you walk into a 1,500-seat restaurant with beers flowing, flames going up with fire, and just the atmosphere there is incredible.
Yeah, so it's a butcher shop concept, and then they've expanded into a restaurant as well.
Correct.
It's just down the road from the butcher shop.
Yes, and I think the owner of DeBetti is a 4th-generation butcher.
And you met him.
There he is. What a top fella. He really is. We had some good times when we were in Brazil, and he showed me around, and his facility's incredible.
Cool. Okay, the next one.
So the Ginger Pig is in the UK. They have 8 shops. The most famous one probably with the borough markets, where they're famous for their sausage rolls.
Beautiful fit out.
It is a beautiful fit out. Once again, there's probably prettier shops out there, but it's nice. The market itself is mind-blowing, and to be part of that is crazy.
So I went to this market and I did have one of these sausage rolls, but they've got another little pop-up shop that just sits off from the butchery there, which is where they do these sausage rolls.
Yeah, the lineup at lunchtime for the sausage rolls is incredible. We can see there we've got Big Stu as our head judge at Meatstock and for the World Butchers Challenge, rocking the Psy Australian Butcher Team shirt. I think he went back about 3 times.
Okay, next.
Okay, so Peter Boucher is a beautiful shop. There's actually 2 shops in Melbourne. He's got a large factory as well where he does a lot of his processing, but the displays are next level day in, day out. The pride that these guys take in their shop is amazing.
It's just stunning. Fit out, quality, look.
Just the little touches like the greenery and the flowers and the way the staff are dressed and presented.
So we've been lucky enough, obviously we live in Australia, but we're lucky enough to have 2 in your top 5. This one's based out of the States.
Yeah, so this is he calls himself the English butcher. So he was from England, and it's based in Cleaver in, what suburb was it, Seattle?
Seattle.
Yes, so...
Don't know the suburb.
No,
The city.
Yeah, in the city of Seattle. So as butchers are, we're all sleepless in Seattle. But I've heard this guy on a couple of podcasts. I've never been to the shop, but I've followed him on social media, and it's an amazing shop. Some of the quality that they're pushing out is incredible. You can see there, that's not an American-style butcher case. That's an English style. It's just up to that level. It's really, really good. And some of the products, that's mind-blowing stuff.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but butcher shops aren't particularly popular in America.
No, they're gaining popularity now, more so than, say, 10 years ago, but they're coming back.
Yep.
And guys like this are leading the way in doing that.
Well, that's your top 5.
Yep.
Obviously, there's a lot more butcher shops out there that deserve to be on that list, but I did force you into picking 5.
Yes, you did. There's a lot of shops in the areas which are great, and they might not be the best in the world, but they're designed and run how they should be for where they are.
Yeah.
Whether it's a street market in Thailand or a supermarket in Dubai.
Okay, let's get on to the next topic, and that's a butcher's cookbook. So you were responsible for putting together a book in Australia, which was called the Butcher's Cookbook. You've done 2 volumes now. Tell us a little bit about the book.
Yes, I always wanted to write a book myself, and it's a bit too hard, actually. I had to get all the content. I went around to butchers around the country, and we got 50 butchers to give us their 2 best recipes and a little story about themselves. So at the moment, we've probably got 30,000 cookbooks on coffee tables around the country where people are reading about butchers and cooking the butcher's favourite meals. They're not gourmet, restaurant meals, some of them. Some of them are nice and simple, which you can do at home quite easily. But the volume 1 sold out very quickly, and volume 2, there's not many left on the shelves out there. So good luck trying to find one.
Yep.
So we might give some of these away, do you think?
Right. So I've got an idea for this one. If you tag your favourite butcher in the comments, we're going to pick out 5 and send the cookbook to you anywhere in the world.
Yep.
So the way that you can enter is to tag your favourite butcher.
Yep, any butcher.
Perfect. All right. Well, let's keep moving. We've got some videos to run through, meat-related videos. Let's watch the first one here that caught your eye. So you've sent these to me as something that you think is interesting in the butchery trade.
This is wild. They're going to take an entire side of pork and turn it into prosciutto. Then they're removing any of the bones, getting it well seasoned, quick wet cure, seasoning it again, and then they're throwing some lard on it. Then this is going to go into their curing cabinet. Look at this. Had to share this. Make sure you give these guys a follow. This thing looks amazing.
Okay.
I was blown away by this because normally a prosciutto is done with just a leg. So we're using a whole side of pork here. I'm not sure how long they hung it in their cabinet for, but I would say at least 18 months. But the flavour out of that would be sensational.
Yeah. She was a bit of a fatty slice, though.
Pigs are fat.
Yeah.
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 So you need a little bit of fat's flavour.
I did blow my mind when I did go to Europe and especially Spain, and you see all of the prosciutto hanging up, like hundreds of them, thousands of them some places.
Incredible.
Yeah.
The place in Italy, which I think they have about 120,000 prosciuttos at a time. It's just like walking into meat heaven.
Okay, this is the next video that you sent me.
I can't believe how you get a steak so big.
So I first saw this. It's gone viral. Everyone's seen it all around the world, but I'm pretty confident, 99.99% confident it is AI.
It is AI, but how good's that promoting meat? Like, there's no better way.
It was cool. It did get shared a lot. And then this guy's a bit of a social media influencer that's took the world by storm, right? And he did a lot to promote butchery and meat at the time. I don't see much of him these days, but you sent me this, and why?
Wow. That's what he says, wow. It's a bit controversial. Some people, you either love him or you hate him. I actually like what he does because he's promoting the industry in some way. So any way that you can promote butchery or meat, this guy's doing it. And the views that he gets, they're above anyone else.
Yeah, he did.
And look at the quality of that meat, though. Like, wow. Wow.
Yeah, he rose to fame really quickly. But anything people are doing, I suppose, that highlights good produce gets my tick.
Yeah, and anyone out there, how many of you haven't done this?
No,
The salt bait.
everybody.
Everyone's done it.
Yeah. Okay, on to the next one. This is some videos you took in Dubai.
Yeah, so apologies about the quality.
All right, well, I'm going to play the first one.
So this is a local butcher shop in Dubai. As you can see, you've got all the heads, the tails, the offal, and then we go up to the butcher's there. They're cutting a little bit of goat meat. He's happy. The customers there were very, very happy. And then we're going out on the right there, the supermarket in Dubai, which is only 5 minutes away. Absolutely amazing layout. So it was probably the best meat display I've ever seen. But there was 30 butchers behind that window there, cutting meat and serving. They just didn't seem to have the same happiness as these two guys in their little shop did. Although the quality was there and the volume was there, I'd rather work in this shop than I would the other shop.
Maybe they were just excited to see you.
Well, they were too, but they were excited to see their customers as they walk in too.
Okay.
And it was you could tell that was a community where this is a convenience.
Yeah.
And that's what a butcher's about, creating community with people.
So it's a big thing for the butcher to have that relationship with the customer, know them on a first name basis. They walk through the door, you know who they are, you know their kids played soccer last week, whatever
Exactly.
that is.
Yep.
You do miss that when places get bigger.
No, you do. You really do. Like that interaction with customers that the butchers have is you can't get it anywhere else.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next topic, which is the World Butchers Challenge. Now, for those that don't know what the World Butchers Challenge is, tell me about it.
So the World Butchers Challenge started, I think it was in about 2011 between Australia and New Zealand.
Did you say 2011?
Yes.
Okay, keep going.
Between Australia and New Zealand, it was over a bottle of scotch. What country's got the best butchers? So a couple of teams got together, they competed, and it went on for about 3 or 4 years, and then a couple more countries joined. We had Great Britain and then France joined. And then it got to 12 teams. And then this is Sacramento, which is in 2022. And we had 16 teams competing in a 15,000-seat basketball stadium.
It's phenomenal. I mean, to me, this is the Olympics of butchery.
It really is. And, you know, the crowd we didn't get the 15,000 there, but, yeah, for butchers to perform like that, there's 6 butchers in a team, and these are some of the displays. Like this is the Italian display. The Great Britain had a 75th anniversary for the Queen, the Platinum Jubilee. Butchers of America on their home soil did a really great job.
Home soil?
Home soil in Sacramento.
Oh, yeah.
This is, I'm not sure who this one is here. Canadians, they did a really good display. It was their first time competing. That is a team of Portugal.
So some really creative displays. Tell us a little bit about the format. How long do they get?
Yep.
What do they got to do? What are they getting judged on?
So there's a young butcher and an apprentice competition firstly, and then the team event where we get 6 butchers. They get 3.5 hours, a side of beef, a side of pork, a whole lamb, 5 chickens, cut, break, display in a clean, hygienic manner, safe and displayed similar to what you would in a butcher shop.
Yeah. It's very impressive.
This is the Australians guys in action, and over here we've got our final display there, which I got a second spot.
Yeah, so this is the Australian team that you were the manager of last year, is that right?
Correct,
so who
yes.
was on the team?
So we had Gary Thompson, Luke Layson was the captain, Gareth Gorringe, Brett Laws, Craig Munro, and his 6th event will be in Paris, Tom Boucher. We mentioned his shop earlier. So he's the son of Peter, but he's been to this event 6 times. And he was lucky enough in this event to be named on the best team. So they picked 6 butchers for the world's best team. So he was
like an MVP?
MVP,
oh,
correct.
Out of all the teams?
Correct. His role is to garnish. So any flowers or garnishes, that's his job.
That's the picture of the Australian team coming second.
Yeah, that was at the gala dinner. I think there was about 600 people there. It was streamed across the world, and yeah, the emotion. We only had 5 months to get ready for this competition, so how we handled ourselves was tremendous.
Okay, now this is the winning one, the winning display from the Butcher Wolf Pack, and they were the German team.
Yes, so we can see an Oktoberfest theme there. They stepped it up a little bit. They created some different sausages and different things, and it was a really good display. And apparently, we're only a couple of points out. But good luck to the Germans. They're great people, but we're coming to get you this time.
This is the Germans
That's
winning the gold.
That's them celebrating in their traditional clothing. Yeah, the excitement, yeah, it was good. Like, we were cheering for coming second, but these guys, they partied. They really did party. But, you know, hard work. They had a good 4 years to prepare and a strong budget to deal with.
So how much does it cost to train and send a team to compete on this level?
Well, it depends on how much you want to spend. Really, it is the limit. You can spend X amount, but yeah, we've got some great sponsors. Mac and I, being our major sponsor for our senior team, our young butchers and apprentices are sponsored by Icon Group. But to get us to Paris, we're probably looking at between the $200,000 to $300,000 mark, including all our training sessions. So we've got to travel people for training, accommodate them. Then we've got the meat, which is, you know, supplied by some of our great sponsors like Breakout River Meats. We've got great sponsors that are helping us in industry. And also at events, we sell raffle tickets. We've got the merch shirts that we're selling. So it's not just handouts from industry. It's also these guys working hard to get that coin.
If you're spending $300,000, what are other teams spending?
Well, the rumour is that the Germans had about $2 million Australian dollars, and the French team had a budget of $5 million.
So that's a rumour?
That's a rumour.
Okay.
I haven't got anything in writing, but it's a rumour.
They might pay their butchers? Australians don't get paid.
The rumour is that the French guys get paid for their training sessions. We don't. Our senior committee have given up 38 days this year already of unpaid work to help with this team, and the butchers have too.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. So again, it's competitive butchery, but it's a little bit of a different format. It's called Butcher Wars, and it's something you've been involved with for a long time. Yeah,
so since day one, this is how I first met you. I rang up Jay and I said, do you need a hand? Because I wanted to compete, but I was unsure. So after talking to you, I realised you needed a hand. So we've been there doing it now since 2016, and the level's just gone crazy from the first day. The first event that we had, it's just got better and better and better.
So tell us a little bit about the format. How does it work?
So it's quick fire. So if you think of the World Butchers Challenge as a test match, this is more of a 2020. So they get 30 minutes. They get a side of pork, half a lamb, and they get 30 minutes to cut, display in front of crowds like this with cameras and judges and Big Steve Foy yelling and encouragement. And it's just mind-blowing. Look, here's Gary. Gary's fell in love with it the first event he went to as a judge, actually, and he's competed in nearly every one since.
So just to explain, the format is set up as a quick fire type challenge, and it's really to encourage people to sit down and watch and to appreciate butchery and the skill in butchery, but it's done more so to encourage the crowd to stop, listen and participate, because anything longer than 30 minutes really is hard to keep people's attention.
Exactly. So we're not looking at we're looking at the technique, but we're not so much looking at how clean their bones are, because these guys have got to get that product up in 30 minutes to engage that massive crowd. Otherwise, we'll lose the crowd.
So 30 minutes is not enough time to deal with the amount of meat that we're giving them.
No.
So they've really got to pick and choose what they do and how they do it, because it's pretty impossible to use all of it.
Correct. And different events. This event, the Butcher Wars, you're allowed to prepare your garnishes beforehand. You're allowed to have your display ready to go. But you've still got to put it up there within that 30 minutes.
So some of the displays in 30 minutes are unbelievable.
Yeah, this is Cal Hogan. He's unfortunately left the industry, but some of he won it the year before. He didn't win this one, but this one always stands out for me. It's just meat framed, neat, tidy, very precise in what he does. The master.
Paul Sullivan.
Isn't he great?
Absolutely fantastic. So the format itself, Butcher Wars, it's started to expand all around the world. It's not just in Australia anymore. This is in Brazil.
Yeah, so on our trip to Brazil, we had a Butcher Wars, and they've continued to do that over there.
So they've done it at Trascada, they've done it at Meatstock.
Yep.
And the concept has spread into other countries as well. So
so
where else is it?
We've already had it in Germany. We've already had it in Scotland. The Czech Republic are doing one next week. We've got Poland, Romania, and we've also got the World Butcher Wars, which happened at Royal Ascot. Some big news coming out about Butcher Wars and an event that'll blow your mind. I haven't even told you about it yet.
Okay.
This is the biggest thing.
Okay. Is it something we're going to announce in the podcast, or are we going to wait a little bit?
We're going to wait a little bit because I've got to wait confirmation, but I will announce something, that the World Butcher Wars is back again in Ascot this year. Or next year, sorry.
So what has happened is there's been a lot of events from different countries. The winners from those countries are now representing their country at London.
The world event in London.
Okay, well, we've got a bit of a video here. I'm going to play it. So let's have a look at this. This is from London, from the World Butcher Wars.
Karina Gray. I'm from Portland, Oregon, from the States. This is my first time in London, my first time out of the country ever, and this competition was unbelievable.
Countries from across the world represented on the stage today and tomorrow, and to be able to represent my part of the industry means an awful lot.
The inspirations from others and the feeling, it's unbelievable.
Oh man, it's amazing. I mean, it's to represent this industry and to be crowned number one, it's actually emotional.
Okay.
That got me emotional.
Yeah. The one thing I'd say about Butcher Wars, very different to the Butcher's Challenge, is that this is an individual sport, right? You're not in a team setting. You're representing yourself. There's nowhere to hide. You can't bounce off other people. It's all down to you. And secondly, it's very achievable for anybody to get into. Anyone can compete.
It's not a great expense where there's a large entry fee to the World Butchers Challenge, whereas this one's only very small. It is an individual event, but what amazes me is how the butchers unite together behind the stage and help each other out. That's what it really brings butchers together.
This is the winning display.
Yep, that's Lawsey, Brett Lawsey, a Western Sydney butcher. He's dominated the industry over here for a little while, but he's got amazing stuff there that he does, and the effort that he puts into it is incredible. Did you see the goldfish?
No.
There's goldfish as part of his display. There we go, little goldfish. So the crowds were really good over there. They weren't massive, but it was a great event. So we're going back there again next year.
I would say over the last, 8 years, hundreds of thousands of people have sat there and watched competitive butchery, which blows my mind.
It blows mine too, but those people that are watching it are just, they stay and they watch and they want to know who wins. They see the butchers, and you don't get to see that behind a butcher shop window of what these guys can do and how quick they work.
No, and I feel like celebrity chefs have had their time in the sun, but butchers have been a kind of forgotten trade. But behind every great dish is a great butcher, especially a protein-based dish. And so it's good to see them getting up on stage, representing the industry, being proud of what they do. I always love the fact, and it doesn't matter whether it's Butcher Challenge or Butcher Wars, the message that you send to your kids, to your wife, to the colleagues that work with you, that you are proud of what you do and you're passionate, you care, you give a shit. You're not just going to work to punch a clock and clock in and out. You mean something, you try harder.
You challenge yourself. So it's scary getting up on that stage in front of those people, in front of your peers. So you challenge yourself, don't be afraid, get up, give it a go.
Yeah. What advice would you give to anyone thinking about it?
Just do it. Contact of myself or someone that's competed. We'll help you, guide you through it and get you to that step where you're about to handle yourself up on stage. We've had young people get up there, first-year apprentices, and really kill it.
The other advice I would give is don't come expecting to win.
It's not about
Not
winning.
your first time anyway, right? Because these butchers have been at it for a little while. But what you will do is you'll gain the experience to keep coming back, perfecting your craft, and you will end up getting better and better and better. And a lot of the butchers that have been at this for a while think of it as a bit of a life-changing thing that they've done.
Yeah, and the ones on top are very, very happy to help anyone coming in that's new.
If you haven't tried it, give it a go. And if you get a chance, if you're ever part of the World Butchers Challenge and you get on a team and you get to represent your country, what a proud moment.
Oh, incredible. It is.
Yeah.
Like to be a butcher and to represent your country is just such an opportunity.
The next part we're going to talk about is some shout-outs. And these are some people that are involved in butchery or the meat-related industries that you've wanted to shout out and you think are doing a good job in the industry. So let's get started. We're going to watch the videos and then you can tell us a little bit about them.
Wesley here, Wednesday night, we've got an absolute zinger. We've got a new brand show released this year, Crack Pepper Snag. Jacko's been making these for a few weeks now, so I reckon he's hit the spot with these. We've got Paradise Park T-bones. We'll have Paradise Parking for the next few weeks. These have been hanging for a few weeks as well, so they'll be real tender. Make sure you come in and get some. G'day, it's Liam here from Floreal Quality Meats, and I've got a massive tomahawk steak.
All right, so this is Liam. Tell me about Liam.
It's massive for him. Anyone else holding it wouldn't be massive. I saw his Instagram and his Facebook post and I thought, oh, what a cool kid. So I rang the shop and spoke to his boss and I said, we've got to get this kid involved at Meatstock. It's literally a kilometre from their shop at Bendigo. So he gets up there and he's so nervous. So I said, okay, I'll relax him a bit. So I organised about half a dozen interviews for him to do with TV and local radio and media. And he just got up there and competed his arse off. He just went so good and he came fifth. So he beat some well-established butchers and his passion and his drive for the industry is really incredible. But he's working with a really good crew there too at Flora Hill Meats.
And I'd say he's just a kid, but how old is he?
I think he's about 9. He looks about 9. But I think he's about 16. So he's still a first-year apprentice, maybe heading into his second year very shortly, but got the skills, but he's got the attitude.
So the one thing we were really worried about in Australia, and I think we still are to a certain extent, is what's the next generation of butchers to come through and take the trade? And for a very long time there wasn't really anyone who wanted to get into butchery, but times have changed.
Yeah, times have changed. Like with social media, butchers are interacting with each other. They're challenging each other by new products and how they're putting their window out. So these guys are looking up to them and they're saying, okay, we've got something to strive for every day. Some of the training organisations around the country, these apprentices are really learning the aspects of butchery from start to finish. They'll walk out with the skills to be able to own their own shops one day. So they've got that aspirations where before it probably didn't happen.
Yeah, before it was just a job, I guess.
Yeah, there was butcher shops closing down 15 years ago. Now there's new ones popping up. There's still some closing down, but most of them are popping up.
Great, that's great. Okay, on to the next one. I'm going to turn this up again and play it. Okay, I might turn it down so I don't get copyright struck, but who is this?
So this is a good friend of ours. She was a butcher from New Zealand called Elena. She competed in the World Butchers Challenge as a young butcher in 2016 and won the competition as the world's best young butcher. And then she moved over to England. And now she's working for H.G. Walter over there. She came to Royal Ascot as a judge. She's judged many Butcher Wars competitions and also the World Butchers Challenge. Her aspect, I love her. I love this girl. She's really involved with training over in England at H.G. Walter. And also she's very passionate about judging of competitions and helping. Like, it's not just a matter of standing on stage and judging. It's all the stuff behind the scenes that she does. And the other judges too, like Big Stu, has been amazing for the industry.
Yeah, so we're looking at a picture of you two together here, and she's not that tall. You're just fucking short.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I am just short. But
it's great to see females involved in butchery.
There's so many females involved out there. Like, there's some people saying that there's not enough females. We could have more, yes, but the ones that are there are really doing some great stuff.
Next one. Who's this guy?
So this guy's Marcelo Bohemian, I'll call him. He's a Brazilian. So he came over here to meet his son, and he was at Black Bear Barbecue.
To meet his son?
To meet his son. His son lived over in Sydney.
Okay. So it wasn't a first-time meeting?
No. And one of the guys that was working at Black Bear Barbecue at the time, Mikey, who also came to Brazil with us, contacted him on social media to come for lunch. So he invited me, and we got talking with that, and that sort of built that relationship up that Australia's got with the Brazilian butchers now. The first event, we did the Butcher Wars over there. They came over to Sydney and did Butcher Wars here. And then the second trip, which I didn't make, but as you can see, he did a masterclass for your touring squad.
He did a masterclass for us in Brazil, and it was very primal. He broke down a whole, I don't know, what would you call it?
There was a forequarter there, so he's at least broken down that.
So he's broken it down for us, and it was kind of like I wouldn't say it's primitive, because his work was fantastic, but you don't see a lot of this stuff. You go into a butcher shop, everything's done, ready, you pick out the cuts that you like, and that's about as far as people get when it comes to knowing more about their meat. In reality, people are breaking down forequarters, and he's not doing it in a shop. He's doing it out in the, an open kitchen.
And there's so much more interest in what butchers do. So, more and more butchers are doing classes now. So, it's another outlet for your business is to have some private classes if you can.
Yeah. So speaking of Brazil, he's another Brazilian.
I'd probably call him the king.
The king.
He started the word Big Butcher Family. Alder Lopes is amazing, passionate, really out there, great bloke. Not the best butcher in the world, and I'm sure he's happy for me to say that, but he's really passionate about the people around him, and he's especially the Brazilian butchers.
So he's a larger-than-life character.
Yes.
In both ways. He's someone that just, the passion, and I think Brazilians are like this in general, right? You can't not mistake their passion.
No.
It just shines right through, right? A lot of people are very timid about what they do and how they do it, but he's loud and proud about butchery.
He is. His English is a little bit broken, but I remember when I competed in the Butcher Wars in Brazil, he whispered in my ear, said, "Shannon, there will be 65 million people watching this on the news." And I shit my pants.
Okay, let's watch one of these videos. This is from his shop, is that right?
Yes, correct. He's got a restaurant that adjoins his shop, and just watch this kid.
So what we're watching here is a kid watching Alda cut up some pork belly?
Yeah, some pork belly. So he wheels out this big wooden trolley into his restaurant and then chops it up and does the lemon on top of it. And yeah, it's just a bit of fiesta. But this kid was the happiest kid in the world.
Look how happy he is. Oh, he knows what he's about to eat.
I think he'd rather see that than Wonder Woman.
So to give you some context here, he's got a butcher shop in Brazil, but he kind of specialises in a lot of like restaurant dishes as well, or he's cooking a lot of pork.
Yes, he is cooking a lot of pork. One of his recent videos, he's just doing bags of pork crackling, and it's just...
So this video got millions of views.
Yep. I think it had 84 million, to be honest.
Next one.
Okay, this bloke here is not a butcher. So he's probably the first pit master from Dubai. So he's an Egyptian background. I just put him in here because he's very special. He looked after me when I was over there. He's got 4 restaurants over there. He cooks for the kings and the princes over there. It's just mind-blowing the experiences that he's had. And not all good. He's been down, but he's got back up, and he's like we all do. He's just a real down-to-out bloke. The shirt he's got on the right there is a meat stock shirt, which came off my back because I just fell in love with the guy as soon as I met him. And you can just tell by his thumbs, he's probably not that good with the knife.
Yes, he's got his thumbs bandaged up there because I'm guessing he's cut himself.
But a man with a big heart and very interested in all things meat.
And I feel like he is, maybe not single-handedly, but he's definitely the one that's out there the most, pushing barbecue and meat in the Middle East.
100%. Like his brisket he serves with a sour cream and a rice, which wouldn't happen anywhere in Texas, I'm sure. But it's just the flavours blended well together. And his pastrami sandwich, Reuben as such, got top 5 in the world for sandwiches.
From what?
Someone, I don't know who it was, but he has got top 5 in the world from one of the big newspapers, maybe.
Okay. Well, he's a larger-than-life character. He's just so passionate about everything. And when you meet the guy, you can't unmeet him. You'll never forget him.
And he's a black belt in something as well. So you don't want to mess with him either.
I see a lot of videos of him driving around in really fancy cars.
Yeah, there's stories to that, but he does have a few cars.
Okay. This one, a lot of people might already know about. I'm going to turn the volume up again. Let's play this.
You all are probably familiar with what's called a beef chart. Today, this might quite possibly be the coolest YouTube video we've ever done. From a visual aspect, this is just awesome. We took a half a beef, laid it on our table, we traced an outline, and then we cut the front quarter and we cut the hind quarter, and we filled in that beef puzzle as we processed it. So in the YouTube video, we went through and we explained each cut and where it's placed on the front and hind. So,
okay, I'm just going to pause it now. This guy's on TikTok and Instagram as the Bearded Butcher. The guy in the video here is called Seth Perkins. He's from White Feather Meats in the USA. He has 3.2 million followers on YouTube and over 1 billion views.
He'll probably double that after people watch this podcast. Seth, I haven't met you, but I'd really love to catch up with you one day, whether you come abroad over to Australia or next time I'm in the US. But anyone that's a butcher, that's especially starting up in the trade, some really good learning videos.
I feel like what he's done to promote butchery can't be underestimated.
100%.
The scale of what he's done. I mean, Butcher Wars aside and all those sorts of things, so many people have watched his stuff.
The effort that he's done just in this presentation, yeah, it's a lot of effort, a lot of work, and how precise he's done it is pretty cool.
But there's a lot of
Could have put a cleaner apron on it, but he's done a lot of hard work.
But there's a lot of other butchers sort of doing similar things, but he seems to be leading the way.
He does.
Okay, that wraps up your shout-outs. So onto something really important. Every now and again we talk about some tattoos.
Yep.
Meat-related tattoos. I found a doozy.
Oh, yeah? What have you found? Holy moly. That's massive. The arm is massive. That's why the tattoo looks small.
So I have found a picture of is it your only tattoo?
It is my only tattoo. It's still here, but it has faded a little bit. I don't know if you can see that, but it's...
Half the ink has fallen out of that
It
thing.
has. So this is what happens when you get a tattoo at a barbecue festival, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. What did your wife say when you come home with this tattoo?
She wasn't too bad with it, okay. I told her beforehand that I was thinking about joining the tough guys and getting a tattoo. There was a bit of talk in the group beforehand that there was going to be some tattoos got. So I said to myself, I'm going to get one. I had a couple of beers. I wasn't drunk. I knew what I was doing. My credit card didn't work, so someone else paid for me. Thanks, Flavio.
It's not far off a full sleeve.
Yeah, it'll get there. Give it time.
Okay. All right. That brings us on to our next topic, which is the future of butchery, right? So butchery is an ever-evolving beast and it's constantly changing. And I think a lot of the issues that we were having 10 years ago or 20 years ago or 30 years ago, they're different today. So we're going to talk a bit about the future of butchery, and this is the first thing that you've sent me. And what's this about?
It's not about being a good-looking butcher, because those guys obviously aren't. It's about the merch. So a lot of butchers now are selling their own merch, creating a brand. That's what butchers need to do. And it's added dollars in your till if you can sell this merch. This is very simple, but the amount they're selling is crazy.
Yeah, so I feel like being a good butcher starts with having a great product, right? You've really got to have a quality product, maybe some value adding. Then it was about the interaction that the butcher has with the customer when they come through the door. It's about knowing who they are, knowing their family, knowing everything about them. But beyond that now is building a brand that your customers are happy to represent, and to see people walking around in T-shirts and clothing that have got your brand, a butcher shop's brand on there. It's wild.
100%. I've been doing it since 1998 with my shirt here.
All right, tell me about the shirt. So this is nice segue.
I only just got this the other day off my dad. I went down to Tasmania to visit him, and there it is. It's my Shannon's Quality Meat shirts from when I had my shop, way back in the late 90s. And, I sponsored touch football teams that I was involved in. And, it's probably not the coolest shirt. It's got a few stains on it. But it's still merch and it's pretty cool.
This picture's here of Scotty from East Blacksland Butchery, and that's a pretty cool design.
Yeah, so Scotty's probably one of the foremost Australian butchers who's created a brand. He's created the East Blacksland Butcher Shop, but he's also created the East Blacksland Smokers, so where he really interacts with barbecue guys in his community.
So this is a Facebook group?
A Facebook group, yeah. So he interacts really closely with his customers and has just built that brand around himself. Like, he used to make he still makes them, jalapeno and free cheese sausage. But he would only make them every 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Which is very unusual. Normally your best-selling sausage, you make it every week. But every time he put them up on Facebook that he was making them, he would sell 800 kilos before he even made any. It was just mind-blowing the way he set it up. And he's one of the first guys, there's a couple that have really grabbed hold of the barbecue world.
We've segued onto a new photo here.
Yeah, so this good-looking wrist is Glenn Dumbrell. He's got a butcher shop in Melbourne called Cha Cha Cha.
So speaking of this, Glenn's another butcher that has started a Facebook group. It's got 10,000 followers. There's another one, I think a guy called Luke Nagel has, the Victorian Butchers Alliance or something like that, 20,000 followers. But these butchers have basically created a cult following of customers that now interact via a Facebook group in the thousands.
Yep. 10 years ago, Glenn was working at Coles as a butcher. Coles is a supermarket for those overseas viewers. And he's now got one of the leading barbecue shops in Melbourne, and he's also got a butcher shop. So he's opened up a barbecue shop as well where he's selling meat out of as well.
I'm such a fan of his butchery shop because he does have a traditional butchery shop, but then next to that, he's selling everything from charcoals to rubs to bottles of wine to beer to cryovac meats.
Barbecues.
He's selling everything.
And his merch as well, like the hat you've got on, for example. He's selling.
And they get to the point where they're starting to, get artworks of themselves done.
Yep. Talk to this guy weekly. Is one of the best guys there is out there.
Okay, next. What are we looking at?
The presentation of Butcher Wars. This is a Sydney event. A whole heap of people just had a big weekend. They've really had a big weekend. But on that stage, I see sponsors. Without those sponsors, we can't do these events. Big shout out to all the sponsors that are helping everyone out there. I see their judges, and once again, we need those judges to help us. We got to pick a winner, and it's a hard job. So appreciate them. And there's also a lot of guys there that have supported the Butcher Wars and the industry behind the stage. There's a lot of work to do beforehand to set up. There's a lot of packing up to do afterwards. That meat all goes to charity.
Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing there. And I'm seeing from young guys like we've got Johnny over there on the right all the way up to Gary Thompson, who's nearly 70.
Is he really 70?
Not quite. Not quite.
Okay. But I suppose the key here is these butchers are networking with each other. So much butcher shops have been isolated in their own shop. So they're only networking with the four or five people that work in the shop. These people are getting out. They're networking with other butchers. They're learning. They're bouncing off each other. They're forming their own little groups. And I feel like the more butchers that do that all around the world, it would just elevate butchery as a trade.
100%. So the hat I've got on is the Butchers Lounge Live. These guys do an Instagram live chats to butchers from all around the world. So I think there's 5 or 6 American butchers and Dave from the UK. And what they've created over the last 3 or 4 years is, once again, as Alda said, the big butcher family. So they're talking about what other people are doing, and you learn from others. That's always been the best form of learning, is from others.
Yeah, I feel like it doesn't matter how big or small you are, and Meat at Billy's would be a perfect example, right? The guy is massive, huge in Queensland, got amazingly successful butcher shops, and here he is out there supporting the industry, helping out at World Butcher Challenge, World Butchers Wars, and he doesn't feel like too big or too proud, or he's in there helping, he's networking, he's helping the younger kids.
It is. A lot of people just see little bits of the help, but there's so much behind the scenes. Like there's daily phone calls, there's sponsorship. At the moment, we're working out how to get our pallet from Australia to Paris and how much it's going to cost us. Billy's there working hard to get that done.
I suppose once you get to the top of this game, it's very easy to let it go to your head and get an ego, and rightly so. You probably deserve it, right? But I do have a lot of time for butchers who are there to help. They're there to inspire. They're there to socialise with other butchers and to support the industry.
That's what they do. Like any of these guys that are competing will put their hand up, as I've said before, to help out anyone.
Yeah, so it's not so much just about getting on stage and competing and trying to win. It's just being part of something that elevates butchery.
Yep, 100%. Like we've got Beck Gamble there. Like she's a butcher. Before her butchery career, she was heavily involved in admin. So now she's the admin for the Australian butcher team, all voluntary. You know,
And still competes.
and still competes in butcher wars.
Good on her.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one. What would you call this? I call it modern day value adding.
It is like sausages we've been selling, forever and ever.
Yep.
And value-added sausages have probably been around now for about 15 to 20 years. One of the icons of sausage making in Australia is a bloke called Mark Edwards. He's now since retired, but he came up with so many different flavours for his sausages that it's once again it's been passed on. Now you walk into a butcher shop and if they haven't got 12 different flavours of sausages, they're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
But this list here, like coconut and garlic, that's wow. You got bratwurst and a Toulouse, which is traditional. So you can mix it up with new ones and make up your own. I made a sausage once called the Grandma.
I don't want to. I'm not game.
It had pork, spinach, prunes, and apricots.
Oh, so it's like an old grandma's recipe.
Yeah, and it was great. It was very popular.
Okay, I thought that'd segue somewhere else, but I'm glad it
No.
didn't. I do like what he's got up. He's got a chimichurri one. There's another one, Italian flavour. There's a pho. I just think that if you're not pushing the boundaries like this, you're getting left behind.
Yep, and you've got to experiment. You've got to give it a try. And
if you're a customer and you walk in and they've got a new flavour, I'm getting it.
Yes, 100%.
I'm getting it.
Yep.
Like, if you're doing the same thing, the same butcher window, week in, week out, essentially you're competing against a supermarket.
No, you have to rotate your sausages and your flavours.
The other thing I want to point out too is products. A lot of the butchers are starting to sell rubs and sauces and aprons and knives and all sorts of things like that. Jess Prowls' Hardcore Carnivore is probably the most famous example. I think it would be close to the most popular rub in the world right now in terms of sales volume.
Yeah, I think it was in Australia too. It was probably one of the first rubs that hit the shelves in butchers.
Yeah, okay.
So, Jess has done a great job at promoting her brand, but also butchers and yourself with meat stock. Like, the butchers are now selling short ribs, they're selling briskets, they're selling Falls Hammers, they're selling Boston Butts. That wasn't happening before meat stock happened. So big shout out to Jess, yourself, and Adam Roberts, who set up the barbecue world. And with that barbecue world, you've brought in butchers and working together. I wish I could give you $1 for every brisket sold, Jay.
But I will say it's a proud moment for me to walk into a shop and see someone like Jess's Prowls sitting on anyone's product, right? Sitting on a butcher's shelves, because they're elevating butchery by offering more of a service. It's not just selling meat anymore. It's about offering a culture. And that culture is a barbecue culture. And it's everything from merch to products to fancy flavours of sausages or low and slow cuts. If you keep doing the same thing, you're going to get left behind.
Yeah. And so many different seasonings now, like American ones, but there's so many local ones too. So next time you're in a butcher shop, grab something a little bit different.
Get a rub. Okay. On the menu, we ask everybody that comes on the show to cook something. Now, you've brought in a stunt double.
Well, as you know, I am a very talented cook. I have got a couple of trophies from barbecue. I don't like to talk about it too much, but but yeah, I did, because I'm a very busy person. I've got to go to the beautician later, so I have brought a stunt double in.
Okay, so you've brought in Brad Palmer.
Who?
Brad.
Oh, that's right.
Okay. Brad's cooking us a feast. Now, because it's so big, we are going to get to it later. We're going to wrap up the show first, but I wanted to point out that Brad is a pitmaster from Black Bear in Sydney.
Correct.
He's also got some pretty cool number plates.
The BBQ God.
BBQ God.
I remember when he was looking at it, because I worked with Brad at Black Bear Barbecue, and he came in as a shy young fella wearing white shoes to cook barbecue, believe it or not. But he said, I'm going to get this number plate, and he showed me. And I sort of had a little giggle, and I said, yeah, go for it. And next minute, within a week, he's had these number plates on it.
And he only just started.
And he'd probably only cooked 20 briskets in his life since then, before then. But now he's probably cooked 30,000 briskets, and some of the platters he's producing, which we're going to see today, are probably up there as some of the best platters in Australia, if not the world.
Yeah, okay. I'm really looking forward to it, but we're going to have to stay tuned because that's going to be right at the end of today's episode.
Yes,
so
for sure.
Hang on. Okay, this is the encore. Now, normally on the show, we would pop up a photo and we'd talk about it. Be a random photo. You've never seen it before. We don't even know usually where it comes from. You've got to talk about it. I'm wiping that for today.
Okay.
I couldn't find a photo, to be honest.
That's okay.
Okay, so we're going to do a quick fire. I'm going to ask you some questions. You're going to rattle them off.
Okay.
You ready? You don't
All right.
sound too confident.
Blonde hair. Oh, sorry.
Okay, favourite knife brand?
Victorinox.
Why?
They've supported me. They've been around forever, and they're easy to sharpen.
I do love the brand too, and I feel like Victorinox, they make the best quality to price. They've got that down pat, right?
Correct.
There might be more expensive knives out there. There might be cheaper knives out there. But for what they give for the quality and the price, you just can't beat the guys.
And they support the industry outside of that too.
Okay, toughest thing about being a butcher?
It was the hours. That's changed a little bit because everyone's a bit more flexible.
It's not getting up early?
No, like back in the day, 4:30 starts weren't uncommon. There's still some shops that do that. But yeah, most shops now, you're 7:30. 7 o'clock, you might be kicking off.
Okay. What's your favourite cut?
Can't beat a good T-bone.
T-bone steak,
Yeah.
old Aussie classic. Where's the T-bone from?
From the sirloin.
Okay.
You finish it and then you got the bone to just nibble on.
Okay, and a T-bone steak on one side is the
tenderloin,
and on the
and
other
you got
side?
the sirloin on the other side.
What's the highlight of your career?
Highlight of career is being involved in butcher wars at Meatstock, looking after the Australian butchery team for what they did in Sacramento and what we're about to do in Paris.
Funny moment in your career?
I made a batter mix once and I didn't use the correct ingredients and I threw it all out only to find out I was using the correct ingredients.
What was the batter mix for?
To crumb some pork. And I made a big bucket of it and I thought, oh, fuck this up. I've done the wrong stuff. So I threw it all out. I was only a first-year apprentice. And then I double-checked how I should do it and I got it right the first time. No one knew about
So
this.
even when you were wrong, you were still right. I think
Yeah.
it's a metaphor for you in general.
Oh, let's hope so. But we all make mistakes.
Okay, that wraps up Underseasoned. I appreciate you coming on the show because I think a lot of people have learnt a lot about butchery from you and face-to-face, generally speaking, because you're always at Butcher Wars, you're always behind the scenes, you're always the guy that's not taking any of the limelight. So from me to you, I just wanted to say I appreciate what you do for the industry, appreciate the mentoring that you've given to literally hundreds of butchers, right? And I can't wait to see what the future holds for butchery because I think it's bright. I think if you were to ask me 10 years ago what I thought butchery was, it was a dying trade.
100%.
I honestly thought that they were all going to go broke. I did. I thought the trade of butchery was going broke. I thought that there would be no butchers and the supermarkets would take over. And I think they thought they were going to take over too, the supermarkets. But people are resilient. Butchers are resilient.
They are.
And they've found a way.
And being creative is one of those ways that's really helped them.
Yeah, the value adding.
It is, the value adding. And some butchers are cooking meals. So hands together for those guys who've really stepped up a level.
Yeah. Well, look, I've really enjoyed this episode. I'm sure people might have some questions for you. If you do have any questions for Shannon, leave them in the comments. I'm going to make sure that Shannon replies to everybody because you're a great guy.
No problems at all. I reply to everybody.
Right. So leave a comment for Shannon down the bottom, even if you tease him about the time that he was wrong but was really right. But that wraps up today.
Yeah, appreciate the time, Jay, and thank you, everyone.
Okay. See you later.
Thank you.